Sure, good morning all. This is Azagiri, a data protection officer. I have brought you a new training program called DPDP Lead Auditor. This training is very crucial for those who is working in the privacy domain or who has interest to jump in this field. Basically, this training will cover all the training and practical aspect only. Will be taught here how to check the company is comply with DPDP regulation. So whether you are working in the same field and you have to audit for your organization, this training is very crucial for those. And who is working in the capacity of the freelance or who is the newcomer want to start their career in the DPDP compliance audit, they may do this training. Under this training, I will teach you the first how to initiate the gap assessment. For any compliance, if there is any GDPR and any other regulation for data protection, will help you initiation of gap assessment. The first program would be that the applicability. Will teach you that how DPDP applicable on the organization. Second phase would come the governance and accountability, what the policy and the procedures are required. Obligation of data fiduciary or data processors. There will be certain provision for it. Will taught that what the obligation of it. How to manage children's data will be taught. And what is the procedure for data principal request will be taught in this training. What the supporting document for it will be taught also. Any data is being transferred from India to outside of India, there will be a certain provision that will be enforced shortly after this. The time limit would be over when the DPDP has given a provision to implement till May 2027. So before May 2027, there will be a certain guideline for causing data transfer outside of India about it. So maybe like any of the country that they have considered as a restriction, so you may not transfer the data on those countries. Like that will be taught there. Similarly, for the breach notification, if there is something which is considered as a breach, so what's the procedure for it and to whom you will report? That type of the training will be there. And for the breach reporting, what the process would be there if a breach is being happen in your organization, to whom report, what the data you share with authority, like that we will be taught here. So in the nutshell, DPDP lead auditor will have a person who has a strong knowledge on the auditing part, where he can just joining this training, he can able to identify if there is a gap available on the existing policy or procedure. So eh, let's we start how this training will help and what's your process. So when you will complete this training and you have an opportunity to conduct gap assessment, so how you will start? The first, you will have to you will have to share the plan, DPDP audit plan, wherein you will include all the function like the HR, marketing team, IT team, finance team, legal teams, and maybe some other customer care if there is, or any the procurement teams are there. So you will sit with that team and will ask related to handling of policy and the procedures, handling a personal data for particular operation. And related to that, you may ask, for an example, you're sitting with the company's HR and you're asking about the recruitment process. So recruitment teams, you have been engaged with the recruitment team, and you are asking that when any the candidate is to be selected, what the data you are collecting at the time of recruitment. So recruitment would reply you here the CV, previous history, employment history, maybe some certifications also asked. So here, while sitting with the recruitment team, you may ask that there be two scenario here. Like suppose for an example, the candidate is rejected. So how long you will store the data? So recruitment team would answer of this question that we have a policy to, if any of the candidate has been previously rejected, he cannot apply again last if he has been applied in the last 6 months. So you may ask related to the retention period here. So once you have the answer of it, so you may add here the related to the policy and the procedure. So recruiter told you that we have a set of policy. If candidate is rejected, so his personal details which we have collected during the recruitment stage we will store till 6. The purpose of this 6 month period is to identify if he has been previously applied any positions in our organizations or not. So, like we, once you hear this answer, you may add the questions related to the retention policy. So, this type of the concept will be provided in this training. So, I will give you some practical example of it. I'm just sharing the GDPR gap assessment report. This is our assessment report. What you have to do here, you have to mention the company to whom you are going to conduct gap assessment. So randomly, I have put XYZ fintech company, their address, and the date of the audit. So I have updated 4th of July, and you may change the date as well as. This is the auditor. You just name the auditor who is going to conduct the audit, like that. And this is the framework. You do not delete this framework. This you just keep as it. Indian Data Protection Policy Act 2000 and the rule protocols which is mentioned in DPDP rules. That will be your framework. Here is the very compulsory the data that the first you have to just fill this. For example, under this gap assessment, there will be 70 controls are there, and you are going to conduct XYZ company. Maybe XYZ company has few existing document, so maybe that document is also adequate as per the DPDP standard, DPDP requirement. So take an example of 70 controls are there. So 60 controls are mitigating the controls of this DPDP. Mean that whatever the controls are there, 70 out of 70, 60 you have identified that is adequate. So you just mention how many meeting this 60. Do not mention any of the partial meeting. It's ambiguous. It's like ambiguous. So partially you do not mention any of that. Just convey to the client that this is the partial. Do not mention in the report. And this is the gap which you have identified. Like 60 total is 70 controls, 60 the compliance mitigating, and 5 you have identified as non-compliance, and maybe 5 is not applicable. So total is 60 that is being compliance here. 60 controls. Let's mention 60. Like okay, so now this is the summary of the compliance what you are going to audit, and this would be changed depends on the company to whom you are going to audit. You may write as per your understanding. This area critical legal remediation mandates mean that whatever you have identified here as a gap, you just mention 1 2 3 4 5. So that you mainly this is the random we have mentioned here. Coming to that, Once you will complete this assessment, the first you sign here, and then this document would be accepted by your client. So you just ask client to sign here. And this is again this is executive summary. This is the name of that company, which change as per your company. All right, and this is the audit date. And here either you are working in the capacity of freelancer, so you mention your name, or you are working for the company who is doing certifications or auditing. So you just mention the name of the company who is auditing for this company. This is the scope, and again you have to change the company to whom you are going to audit. This would be the same, nothing would be changed, and I will directly jump to the details report. See, the first is that we are just checking your applicability. Like in DPDP provision, what say about it? If you are processing a personal details in India, who is established company in India, so DPDP will be applicable. But if the company itself established in India, but that company is not processing Indians data, but processing some personal details of European or maybe other countries, in that case DPDP will not be applicable. Until and unless you will not process Indian residents, Indian citizens data, DPDP will not be applicable. So this is to identify whether you are complying, whether you are collecting here and processing in the Europe. In that cases, both of the company have to comply. Take an example of it. I have a group company. We have presence in US also. We have presence in Europe also. We are collecting the data from India and processing the entity, which is our entity, is in the USA. So USA company has to also comply this DPDP. So just identify if there is any other entities are processing or not like that. So you may include here. Coming to the governance part, under this there'll be some sort of security related, some policy and the procedure related questions you may ask. What you may include here is just I will give you some of the example how to comply and what you check in the DPDP. So this is the set of the questions will be taught against each of the control. So suppose you are going to audit for XYZ fintech and you are sitting at the control number 3.5, says about section 6.2 consent mechanism. So you are asking these questions to the concern, and who will be the concern here? Oh, see, the HR team is responsible for their own concern, handling of personal data. But governance part is the responsibility of the DPO and the information security, or you may ask to the client who will be the responsible person to answer these questions. So just include him. So you are here 3.5 asking to the DPO that has the data fiduciary ensure that any part of consent which infringe the provision of the act or rules made there under or any other applicable laws treated as invalid extent of. So for an example, company has already taken a consent for it, but in the consent he has mentioned that you may not uh, uh, raise a claim for any other parts. For example, a company who has processed the personal details and the e-commerce company, and while registering the account, he has sought a consent. But in the declaration in the consent, it is written there that you will not have right to claim further about any your legal rights if there is something written. So even you are taking a consent, but in the consent declaration you have mentioned something which is vague statement. So this is not a valid consent, it's an invalid consent. So like that you have to check. So how you will check? just you have to check this company waveform if it is there or not, if there is any account page out there or not. So just check it out, read the privacy notice. If there's something is stated as to be considered as an invalid consent, you just inform, you just mention in the gap report that it is inadequate. Like that, for this scenario, I have just I have to write here XYZ fintech has deployed privacy notice. This is correct. Procedures, declaration of the consent. See here, what you have to write here, declaration of the consent reviewed by, okay, so reviewed by auditor, and find found, found that vague statements, sorry, found that a statement, STAT statement related to invalid consent mentioned in the clause, whatever the clause you have read it out, just clause or para, just mention here, and just write that what you have reviewed, privacy notice declaration, right, and adequate to inadequate, just mention. Inadequate. So this is done. I will give some example of others also, like where there is a right of data subject. You are sitting with the DPO or the information security team, and you are asking this question, like, okay, this is related to the data subject, data principal request. So you are sitting with the DPO and asking about these questions. Like, you are asking, have you appointed any grievance redressal officer, or do you have any mechanism for grievance redressal? So the DPO or information security team would say that yes, we have appointed the grievance officer. So now what the documents you check here, you just check that whether in the privacy notice if they have mentioned or not. So I have a document, a privacy notice for, take an example of that. This is the privacy notice of XYZ fintech, and you have to check whether the rights are there or not. So see here, it is there, right to access as per the GDPR rectification, and the access both is covered in DPDP and the GDPR both. Right to erasure is also there. These are not a part of that DPDP, but if you have mentioned, then you have to follow also. This is not a violations. Right to complaint, it is also there, but you see here there is no any right to address grievance. So this is not included. So what you will have to do here, XYZ fintech has implemented a procedure to address to grievance within the defined time period. But grievance redressal mechanism was GR grievance redressal mechanism mechanism. What is happening here? Related to the redressal mechanism, grievance redressal mechanisms are not included. Mechanism is not included. It's not included. So you may just write as per the company requirement, all right, and English would be different. So you may write any things which is sufficient for professional way, and the recommendation you have to mention what you are recommending here to appoint a grievance officer include in the privacy notice, and if it is was adequate, just change the inadequate. So this is the training program. Will taught you that what the sort of the question you may ask, and similar kind of answer we will explain you that maybe this would be answer, and if the DPO or the information security or the who is the responsible person for this control is giving you the answer, so what you are seeking, what you are just saying to display the policy for it. So that name of the policy will be also taught, and along with that policy for this supporting these documents, like I have taken a privacy notice. So what you have to check in the privacy notice, just check this kind of the clause is mentioned or not. If such mechanisms are included, just you put the adequate, otherwise inadequate. So similarly, this there be around 70 to 80 controls are there. So you have to sit, you have to check with your customer, the clients to whom you are going to conduct audit, and based on the information you just mention it out. Now, once this all the controls will be updated, what's your role would be there? Your role would be there that you may ask whatever the documents are supporting documents are required, just ask to provide in a share folder with the limited access, re-evaluate all the things, all right. So if something is some of the company has missed something, just note down it and you may include in the report to support the gap assessment. This would be the training program where it will be conducted on 25th of July. So there will be limited seats for it, as we will not allow to register more than 25 users. So I always recommend you to just register before 15th of July so that we can conclude it out, and we'll set a program for it. So thank you.